All right. Hi. What's up, Sad Nation? It's me, Kevin, coming back to you again with another virtual engagement. So this has been a part of our series where we engage different youth leaders all around the nation about the different work that they're doing and how it's related to SAD. So remember, for SAD, we envision a world in which young people will make a positive decisions that advance their health and safety. Our mission is to empower you all to successfully confront the risks and pressures that challenge you all throughout your daily life. And so we're really, really excited to come to you today with Stunt Masters with Mr. John Parker. So maybe if you want to introduce yourself, John, and we can get started.
Sure. My name is John Parker. I am the head lead director of STUNTMASTers Incorporated. We perform around the country at schools and special events just to motivate people to be their best. Like you were saying, one of the main missions we have is turning positive thoughts into purposeful action. So making people think about what they're doing and have a goal, a destination, a reason for their actions, for their words.
Yeah, no, that's really great. I love that you're talking about having a goal and a destination. One thing that we always talk about in SAD is like you to have a destination, you have to be able to get there safely. And so we're all about like safe destinations and making sure people are getting from one place to another safe, whether that's making sure they're making good decisions, whether that's making sure they're rocking their seatbelt when they get in the car. So would you like to maybe go into how do you all go about making sure that you're motivating students to have a destination, have a goal, and stay motivated?
Right. Well, the main reason, the main way we do it is by grabbing their attention because we got to get people focused on what we're saying, what we're thinking, and what we're doing. So we do that with action sports. We bring an awesome show to events around the country, schools, special events, community events. We perform with BMX, skateboard, inline skate, and scooter pros. We got some of the best guys in action sports, past, present, and future X Games riders. So these guys are not only
Oh,
well
wow.
known, they also have been there. So they know firsthand what it's like to be distracted from a goal. And they know what it takes to get to that destination. Theirs being, of course, action sports, becoming a pro, becoming well regarded and respected in what they do. So we basically grab people's attention. You can't help but to love what we do. We got an awesome show, some of the best riders in the country doing some really cool stunts on the ground and in the air. So that's how we grab people's attention, get them to pay notice to us. And then our words, our goals, our beliefs come out during the show. We get to talk to the kids, talk to the audience one on one on 1,000, how many ever people are there, and just tell them some of the experiences we've had in our sport, in our business, and in our lives that helped us get to where we are, some of the things we had to steer away from to make the right choices.
Yeah, that sounds good. Like, thanks for sharing that. I know, especially nowadays, it's really important to grab the attention of the youth. And in this day and age, I think there's more distractions now and ever taking away attention. I mean, the mobile phone was just coming up when I was in high school, and now it happens to be one of the biggest
Right.
distractions for youth nowadays, like pretty much 24/7. So I think having really high impact ways to get their attention is great because we have a hard time getting their attention sometimes too, making sure that you know putting on your seatbelt isn't a very exciting thing to do, but we try to find ways to make it engaging. So I think
Right, right.
one
Well,
question. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was saying, take care of the easy stuff so you can focus on the bigger stuff. Putting a seatbelt on is pretty easy. Put your phone down when you're working. Just focus on the big picture stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I think having that big picture, that end destination in mind, is what'll help a lot of youth um, kind of set their sights on something for sure. So I think when I was in high school, actually, I believe I did watch here either high school, elementary, or middle. I did believe I watched one of your performances, and I thought it was quite amazing. And I've watched a couple of YouTube videos about the things that you've done and like the type of stunts that you perform. It seems like there. It seems to me that wow, if things aren't set in place, there could be some uh, could seem pretty intense and dangerous at times. How does like safety play a part to the types of stunts that your members are performing when they perform?
Oh, safety's number one. I mean, if you don't wear all the gear, you may not get to try it more than once. Some of these tricks takes years, months, a long time to learn. So obviously you want to be protecting your body. You want to make sure your bike is out in, take responsibility for all of your equipment, and then just using your head. You know, you learn the basic stuff first and you build up from there, just like everything else in life. You got to start at ground zero and work up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, starting from ground zero, I think a lot of the things like operating those type of vehicles, even a car, people say, "Oh, it's my right to drive a car," or "It's my right to get on this type of vehicle," when really it's a privilege to be able to do those sort of things. And safety comes first. I mean, a lot of the things that students will do, and even adults too, is they'll drive or they'll operate a motor vehicle while like while texting on their phone. I can't imagine what would happen if one of your folks, while they're performing, they're texting or they're talking and they're trying to communicate with someone on their mobile device while trying to perform these tricks. I don't think that would end up going pretty well.
No, not at all.
Uh,
I mean, there's a time and place for everything, right? When we get on our bike, we put
right.
down the phone, just focus on what we're doing. And the cool thing about what we do is it totally engages you. Once you start doing it, you can't like be distracted. You don't want to be distracted. You're super focused on what you're doing, making sure you're in control of your bike, your skateboard, or whatever you're doing. And it's just like everything else in life. You know, you should be fully engaged in what you're doing at the moment. You know, if you're splitting up your attention among two, three, four things, you're not really getting the best out of yourself.
Yeah, not getting the best out of yourself or the experience that you're experiencing. I think being present and grounded and mindful is probably one of the biggest challenges to folks nowadays, especially with everything else that's going on. Even in today's like quarantine environment, it's really easy to get distracted by what's happening outside, things that are out of our control. When really we can only pay attention to what's in front of us right now, and that'll probably be the best way that we can like feel alive and feel centered is by focusing on what we're doing in the moment. Yeah. I kind
Right.
of
You definitely want to focus on your realm of influence.
yeah. Yeah, sorry. So there's a little bit of a delay, so sometimes like they don't
Oh,
expect to
yeah, I
hear
noticed.
what's happening. So one thing that we want to know, and I'm sure the rest of the people online would want to know, is like, what's the message? Something that the students or people that are watching, what do they receive um, from your performances and from your motivational speaking?
Well, we discuss a lot of things because I've learned so much from bike riding that I like to share what I've learned. We always talk about safety, you know, not just wearing the right gear, but using the right head when you're doing what you're doing, making sure you're paying attention, focusing, that you're all prepared. So safety is a big factor of every show that we have. We talk about character building, being the best you can be, and then sharing it with other people. One of my goals, one of my speaking points that I always talk to audiences about is success in life for me has been being able to find something I like to do, get really good at it, and then share it with other people. So that's what we do at our shows. We get to share our years of skill building on a bike, on a skateboard, some of the things we've learned traveling around the world. And we wouldn't have got that far had we not focused, you know? You got to definitely, I mean, I started riding bikes professionally in 1993. So I've been at it a long time. I rode competitively for about 15 years, and
Wow.
now I mostly just put together shows, events around the country. I'm working on my third book, a couple of youth books, empowerment books, talking to kids about coming out of their shell. So, like, if you want to be your best, find out what you love to do and figure out how to share it, how to get good at it. Don't be afraid to take some chances when it comes to coming out of your shell. I know when I was younger, I was a pretty shy young man. I didn't talk a lot. I didn't raise my hand, didn't get involved in school much, didn't play any sports. But then one day after school, I saw this kid do a bike trick. Jumped up on
Mm.
the top of his bike and did a trick called the surfer. And I saw that, and immediately I was like, I want to do that. So I went home, I fixed up my bike, and I started riding freestyle, started learning some tricks, and it really got me out of my shell because I had something that I thoroughly enjoyed, I had goals with, and I could share with other people. So by the time I got out of high school, there were 10 of us riding every single day, started traveling around the country, performing, hitting some competitions, and I got my first sponsor. And it all started with that first step, knowing what you want to do, taking a little bit of initiative, not just waiting for it to happen, being proactive in whatever you do.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's really good to have like a passion to set your eye on and give yourself a goal. Is there any ways that that your passion for writing has like kind of spilled over and affected like other aspects of your life or your own other successes?
Oh, oh, definitely. I published a magazine for a couple of years, wrote a book. I'm working on, well, I've written a couple books, but one book for children for like fifth and sixth graders. And then
Mhm.
I'm working on my second one. It's about, from like a skateboarding standpoint, the main character is a skateboard, just, like looking for the right things in life because you find what you're looking for. So if you're always angry, if you're always mad, if you're always upset with something, you're going to find more of that. Whereas if you're looking for good things, you can find that too. We produce shows around the country. That's been a huge part of my life, working with special events, community events in schools, neighborhoods, and putting on events that are meaningful to them. Um, yeah, event stuff has just kept me busy for quite some time.
That's great. I mean, I think producing things that you love and find meaning out of and that other people find joy out, I think is one of the best things that you can do with your time. How have audiences found meaning from your events that you put on? Is there any feedback you've gotten particularly that kind of sticks with you or that kind of you keep hold close to you?
Oh, definitely. Like every show we do, we have people coming up afterwards that not only enjoyed the show, but have their own story of either A, being involved in action sports, something they saw or did when they were growing up, something that really touches them. I mean, take a bike, for example. I think everybody remembers getting their first bike, right? Mom or dad bring you a bike for Christmas. You're 5 years old. You're struggling down the driveway trying to keep your balance. And then eventually you learn,
Hmm.
you catch on, you learn how to keep your balance and keep your momentum going. So, I mean, our shows affect people in so many different ways, but it's all fundamentally fun things that we all can associate with.
Yeah, I mean, if life isn't fun, really, then what's it worth for anyway? So I think bringing a joy and making sure people get a kick out of life is one of the best gifts that you can give people. And man, getting your first bike is it's a great feeling. I'm actually saving up for a bike right now, wanting to get back on the road since can't really know where to drive anyway, so might as well just stroll out.
Right?
Uh,
Yeah,
I
definitely. It's
think
great. Riding a bike, skateboard, whatever, keeping fit, keeping your body moving, keeping your mind flowing.
yeah, definitely like mind and body. I'm sure there's a connection there. If you're feeling good, your thoughts will be better, and you'll be able to accomplish more, or strive to do what you want to do in life.
Definitely.
So we're gonna take some questions that we've collected from some of the audience that were taken a pre, and then we'll also see if the audience has any questions now. One of the questions that we have from them is if how do you find what you're passionate for? Like I think you said you found biking like when you were young and like somewhat before high school. For people who are kind of like shy and who don't really know, they're kind of wondering how do they find something that they like, and how do they know that that's the thing that they want to do?
Gotcha. Well, that's a twofold question because first, nowadays you can find anything. Anything you imagine, anything you dream. If you have a dream about something, type it in the computer, something will pop up. There's so many ways to make things good and extra special. I mean, riding a bike down the street probably gets old after a while, unless you got a destination. But then, you start popping wheelies, you start hitting jumps, and you're like, hey, this is pretty cool. I can control what I'm doing. One of the greatest things I liked about bike riding was I learned how to control something. I was just, when I started riding bikes, I was like 13 years old. I grew up in a little town called Paso Robles, California, and there wasn't much to do. I really wanted to be a skateboarder, but I lived out in the country, so it was nothing but dirt, a little bit tough skateboarding in the dirt. So I started BMX riding, and you can build jumps in the dirt. So I was more in control there, and I realized that I can make my bike work for me. I can have an idea and turn it into reality on that bike. So that I really got a kick out of when you learn that you're in control of things, just like anything in school. When you take a class, let's say math. Everybody loves math, right? It's difficult sometimes. It's not fun, but when you start mastering the concepts, when you start realizing how these mathematical concepts apply to the real world, and you can manipulate them to find answers that you want, then you enjoy it more when you make things relative. So I think one of the first, like if you want to be a surfer and you live in Kansas, probably going to be a little bit tough. So I guess really just looking in your environment, finding things that you enjoy, that you find interesting, learn as much as you can about them, and then find out how you can make them part of your life. Bike riding's been a huge part of my life in that I rode for fun, and then I rode competitively, and then I started doing shows, and then I published a magazine. I organized competitions around the country. I wrote a book.
Ooh, nice.
STUNTMASTERS, my youth book. I wrote a lesson plan that goes with the book. So there's a lesson plan. There's little learning experiences in the book. So I mean, everything just grows, And now my entire life has been wrapped around BMX and action sports for 25 years. So did you disappear?
No, did it cut off a little bit?
There you are. Yeah, but I got you. Sorry about that. I went blank for a second.
Not at all.
So, really, no matter, everybody has something they like. Maybe it starts as a TV show. Maybe it's a TV show or a webcast or a podcast, something that captures your attention. And there's a way to make that relevant to you. And when you find things and you can make them relevant to your life, that's when you really find the joy in it. And then after that, when you learn a lot about it, then you find ways to make it better so that you can contribute yourself to it. And from there, it just grows. The ideas are limitless, no matter what you're right now. If you like playing video games, you could be a pro video game player, right? Some of those guys are making a lot of money playing video games. When I was growing up, it was like, get off your computer, go out and ride your bike, right? But, find something you like to do. And then bring yourself to it and make it the best you can, and nobody can argue with you.
Yeah, I think you really said something that hit really close about having like a relevant education. I think in my experience, a lot of young people will look at things like math or English or, all these different things that come up in school or, trying to be healthy for themselves, and they see it all like separate. They're like, oh, math is just math, or English is just English. There's not really application anywhere else. But when you can find that relevant education and application towards your life and your own passions, that's when I think students can get the most out of it. And seeing how important it is to have a passion and to be able to like have enough like energy and life and be able to be alive to do it is super important. And when you have that presence, like when you mentioned earlier, being able to be present and not distracted towards the things that you do and love, then you can turn it into something really cool. Kind of like how you did with STUNTMASTERS. I think that's a really great example for folks. And video games too. I don't think anyone realized that the video game industry would be so as lucrative as it is right now. One of the other questions that we have here is for parents who look at some of these passions and are like, oh, that's not something I want my kid doing, or that's not quote unquote like gonna make them successful. How would you encourage students that are having those situations where with family members that might not be so super supportive at first towards the things that they're interested in?
Well, the easiest answer for that is take care of your responsibilities, and then everything else you get to do is just going to be a privilege. If you're doing well in school, if you're keeping up on your homework, if you're taking care of your responsibilities around the house, I don't think mom and dad are going to mind if you go ride your bike or skateboard or whatever, right? They're going to look
Mhm.
like, wow, I got a great kid who's in charge of this stuff. They're going to trust you, give you the privilege, and let you do things that you want that may be a little outside of the box, I guess, right? I mean, you can't really argue if somebody's on top of their game, letting them experiment with some new fun things is not a bad idea.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. You're able to do the things you want as opposed to if you're not doing your homework and say, "Well, I want to do this," mom and dad are like, "Wait, you got to take care of your other responsibilities first." I think having that trust and building trust is
Exactly.
very important between the youth and their parents. Uh, so that's kind of all the questions that we have from myself and from our audience. Is there any, say you had like a microphone to all the youth across the nation? Is there any like last one piece of advice that you want to leave them with?
I guess the best thing I could say is just realize that we're all connected, right? You know, a lot of times people see them as separate, like, oh, I don't like that guy, I don't like this, but everything sort of connects at one point or another. And the older you get, the more you travel, the more people you meet, the more things you do and see, you realize that we're all connected. I mean, look at the coronavirus going around, right?
Mhm.
Some guy in China eats a bat or something. The next thing you know, the whole world's infected. Why not infect the world with some positivity, some good things? Realize that what you do, what you say matters every single day. I tell kids at the school shows we're doing that every day is your showtime. I say right now is our time to show you what we're all about, but every day is your time. Every day is your time to be the best you can be. So show people what you're all about. And it just goes viral from there. Teach people how to act. Teach them how to treat you. Teach them how to treat each other. Make the world a better place.
I think that's the best thing to go viral right now is some positivity for everyone. I think that's what we need right now.
Right?
That's really great.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. I think we all appreciate the energy that you brought to this conversation. If say some we have some SAD advisors who are on and they're in charge of like the SAD chapters that we have at schools and if they want to bring you out to their school, once this all gets like settled, what's the best way to kind of get in contact with
Right.
you?
I'm happy to leave you my information. You can go to stuntmasters.net and you can book us right there online.
Awesome. So we'll post his contact on the website in the description below. So be sure to continue to check in with California SAD. We're going to be bringing you more content for your students and advisors out there, just to get a sense of what's going on in the world and what are these great youth leaders out there. What are they doing and things that you can aspire to become out there, SAD. So thank you, John. We appreciate the time that you've had with us. Can't wait to hopefully see you at one of the next shows once this whole thing kind of blows over and we're all back out in the field doing what we love. So thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Peace.
Bye.